4 social skills secrets that make men over 40 as attractive to women. Okay, number 1 is reading women's signals. Okay, if you dress just okay, and you're not really ugly, you probably get women checking you out more than you ever dreamed possible. But the problem is, you don't see it. You just don't see it. You're blind to women's signals. How do I know this? Because for 19 years, my team of female dating coaches and I'll just show them to you here. That's about 10 years ago, that photo. For 19 years, my female coaches have gone on dates with our clients and then coached them step by step about how to improve their success with women. And out of the thousands of guys we've coached intensively 50 hours, not a single one was really good at women's signals. So what are women's signals? There's probably hundreds of them, but there's certainly 5 or 10 you really need to get your mind around and be aware of and train yourself to see. Okay, one of the big ones, one of the really obvious ones for guys is the hair toss. So anyway, I'm not a girl, I'm not a drag queen, but yeah, women will see you, they like look at you, so they're flicking their hair, they're giving it this one, maybe they're just adjusting it slightly, maybe even they're just brushing it out the way. They're preening themselves, trying to get you to notice them or to send signals that you're attracted to them. Another very subtle one that you'll see, particularly if you're doing daytime approaching girls in cafes or bookstores or restaurants, something I really like, is the girl will just sort of expose her wrists to you like that. Another one, I can't model it, but is they're walking and they sort of highlight their hips. They might stick their hips out, especially when they're walking, they do stuff like that. One of the biggest ones, one of the ones that's probably got me quite a lot of dates and sex, is when the girl has a rational proximity, which is a good one for all the smart guys, engineers that we coach. Excuse me. Yeah, it's like, I mean, say you're at a party or a bar and she's walking in this bigger gap and she's like right beside you when she's walking. And, dating 101, guys, it took me like 32 years to figure this out. If a woman rubs her breasts against you, unless you're an absolute mosh pit, she's probably interested in you and you're probably really, really dopey and should have done something a long time ago. So a rational proximity is a huge one. My female coaches and I, we take guys out to whatever, bookstores, bars, streets. We see this stuff all the time where women are doing completely irrational things to get close to guys, and they've got the drink straw and they've got their hair and they've got their breasts out, and they're far too close, or they follow guys around. Guys just don't see a thing. This happens all the time. One of the big ones, the big ones, is when a girl looks at you and then sort of looks away and then she darts back really fast. This is probably making some of you sick. I apologize, just bear with me. It'll change your life. As I said, when she starts to get the sexy walk, particularly with the hips swaying, another trick, particularly if the girl's got a nice chest that's sort of on display with a push-up bra, is she'll intentionally make a much harder step to get a bit of wobble upstairs, which is a big thing that attracts guys like us. And another huge one is any sort of exaggerated movement. I mean, this is, again, stuff that guys miss all the time, where you're in a situation, it could be a cafe or something, or a restaurant, and girls have noticed you or your table, and they've sent all these signals, and because we're whatever, American, Australian, Western European, Canadian, English, dopey, stupid guys, we never see any of this. We should be taught this in year 6 or something at school. And what you see happening is the girls are like, oh, so I did this and I went here, and they talk much louder than they normally would, and they make massively exaggerated gestures, probably like a peacock trying to get you to notice them. So yeah, I'll give you some more, and if you guys have questions about stuff that happens to you, I can really help you with that. Just to give you a really practical example of that, one of my favorite clients at the time moved from Perth, Australia to Sydney, Australia, and he moved to a place called Bondi Beach, which has kind of been in the news lately for all the wrong reasons. And yeah, when you go back sort of 15, 20 years, it almost certainly had the hottest girls in Australia. Now it's pretty gentrified. It's still good, but this was insane by Australian American standards. Sort of Santa Monica, Venice, maybe South Beach, Miami for the American people watching. Yeah, so he goes there, and I teach him my tricks in Bondi Beach because he's favorite student of mine. So I take him into this bookstore cafe that I used to go to regularly, and I just show him what I do. He'd already done boot camps and stuff, and I show him what I do and how, I walk in, I sort of look at the girls, and I just go, I sort of notice a girl and maybe look at her, and maybe even do a very mild smile. I noticed her. Or another thing I do is I'll and see if she sort of sends any signals back. So there's all these theories about how you get better with women on the internet from all these dating coaches and pickup artists and lifestyle coaches, and there probably are some good ones. I don't know if there's many good ones as a percentage of the total amount, but honestly, my 13-year-old stud friend who I played footy with, who left me behind whenever he went near girls, he honestly seemed to know more about picking up girls, attracting women, getting girls on dates than many of the pro dating coaches I've come across, some of whom are great marketers who make a lot of money. And yeah, it's so simple. It's like, okay, you send signals, which for a guy is you look at them, and then you look to see if they send any signals back. And if they do, then you go talk to them. This whole cold approach, pickup artist, neg them, just dress loud and fancy and wear stupid shit to get them to notice you, that is unfortunate, and be cocky and funny and rude, that's sort of taken over a lot of dating psychology, with marketers copying it again and again. I mean, yeah, if you can read signals, you don't really need to cold approach women. You don't. I mean, in my regular life, I rarely do. I do invited approaches. This is one of the huge difference. It's not a cold approach. It's an invited approach. Now, let me just take a step back. If you're a beginner, intermediate with women and you want to improve your skills, do a lot of cold approaches. Because that's one of the, including the silly street ones you see on YouTube, because that's your building blocks. That's giving you courage. That's giving you the ability to sort of succeed occasionally in very, very difficult circumstances. But that's like, that's just like wearing training wheels. You do that so you get better at reading signals, better at talking, better approaching with good energy. When you do some of the silly sort of pickup artist ones, that gives you a lot of courage. And if you can occasionally make one of them work, you must have developed some signal. Hopefully, you'd have developed some signals reading ability. So once you've got the approach anxiety and the fear a bit out of your system, that's when you want to learn to read signals and actually see the girls who are interested in you. So back to my client who moved from Perth to Sydney. So he comes over to live in Bondi, and yeah, he just walks into the cafe, the bookstore cafe, like I told him, and he looks at girls, and if there's a girl who sort of looks him back, he'll sit down near them. Sometimes he does what I also do. I just sit there reading a book or work on my computer, and when an attractive girl walks in, I'm just sort of looking her up and looking her, maybe gently just going up and down if she's really hot, and then I just basically wait to see if she comes and sits near me, which many of them do. And you guys are saying, oh, this is just nonsense, this could never happen, the guy's full of crap. It happens all the time. Provided you dress okay and you're not like Quasimodo, completely ugly. And as I said, I've coached thousands of guys. So I've had guys like 5'3", 5'4", some in their 50s, some with gray hair, who they dress well, they learn to read signals, and they come up to me like, man, you've just changed my life. I've never got this much attention in my life. It's just because they're presenting themselves in a way women want, which is very hard for many men in America, Australia, even Western Europe these days. We really don't know how to dress to attract women. And they're actually seeing the many, many women who notice them. Women are checking guys out all the time, probably worse than us, unless they're in a relationship they're happy with. It's just guys never see it. So yeah, and then the student, he'd either walk in, see girls sit sort of in their proximity, then 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes later, start a conversation with them, or he'd sit in the cafe where he could see the girls walking in. I've done this in many, many locations all around the world, particularly bookstore cafes and bookstores, and got some of the best women in my life. And then, and then he'd get women who sit near him, and then 5 minutes or 2 minutes later, he talks to them. This is a very low-key invited approach, which is about 100 times more attractive to a really hot girl than a cold approach. If a girl's average looking, and you do a cold approach, that's like, oh, well, yeah, this guy's got some courage. He's a bit more of a man than some of the other guys. But for a really hot girl, that's almost meaningless. And it's almost like annoying. So I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's worked many times for me. But what's really worked for me, what's worked insanely well, is invited approaches. An invited approach might be where you send signals, she sends signals back, then you approach. Or in many cases, she sends signals, you see those signals, and this is how you get the best girls, particularly if you can surround yourself with other men like you who are quite high value, also well presented. This stuff can just profoundly change your life. You'll never chase girls around the street, around the bookstore, around the bars again, if you can get a slight handle on these 4 social skills. So yeah, my client would go from cafe bookstore, and if there weren't any hot girls there, he'd just walk 2 doors up and go to the supermarket next door. It's a very small sort of what Australians call IJ supermarket. I've lived in New York a lot. It's like one of those sort of corner delis where, you know, you get basic whatever washing stuff and maybe, you know, shampoo and that sort of thing. There's a bunch of fruit and there's a bunch of food, and, you know, professional women or backpackers or something, they're going in there regularly just to buy stuff. So he'd leave from the cafe bookstore if there was no hot girls there, and he'd go into the he'd go into the what we call the IGA, the corner deli type thing, and then yeah, he'd just do the same thing. He'd just walk around. If he sees an attractive girl, look her up and down. If you're dressed well, some girls would even check him out. And then yeah, I mean, I got laid using can you help me find the broccoli? Like, yeah, that was an opening line I used quite often. So you don't need some killer opening line. You don't need to be the tallest, richest, handsome dude around. You just need to have social skills and social intelligence. A part, not all of it, part of the skill of being good with women is social intelligence. And one of the biggest parts of that is reading their signals. So yeah, that's basically what he'd do. And I've had this myself, but this guy was younger and probably a bit hotter than me. And yeah, I've literally, if you do this really well, I've literally had instances where I've looked a few girls up and down, they've come and got into proximity with me, as I talked about one of the points, proximity. And then, yeah, I've had girls like slamming their little shopping baskets together to get pole position. And this guy, who's better looking than me, said that happened to him quite a bit. Particularly in a suburb where there's, you know, a lot of young, attractive women competing for the men. So, yeah, if you can get your mind around reading signals, it can just change everything. And probably some of the best news, I'll say hello to my regulars in a second. Some of the best news of your lifetime, possibly the best news of your lifetime, particularly I tend to specialize in guys over 40, particularly guys over 50 in the 60s. We got absolutely poleaxed, if that's a word my international viewers understand, destroyed by the whole AIDS era, where, you know, you stick your dick in some girl without a condom, you might die, where, you know, legs shut tight for a decade. We got really ruined. But one of the big things as older guys have now is we're not as destroyed generation with this extreme woke nonsense. And we haven't grown up on screens and we're addicted to social media and we're sort of pathetic and wussy. And some of us actually played some real sport and did adventure stuff and climbed trees, and, you know, got in fights and you know, actually lived like men. I know a small percentage are very into kickboxing and MMA and stuff these days of the younger guys. But as older guys, many of us lived a much more normal masculine upbringing. So you've no idea how attractive some of us older guys still are to younger women, given how their generation of men has just been slammed so hard. So yeah, if you can get these 4 social skills, just even a little bit of them, just even a little bit, and you can go apply them, you can do better with women at 50 or 55, provided you dress well and do a few of the things that my coaches and I teach you, than you ever dreamed of before. Simply because with, you know, the online revolution, everyone's, you know, particularly accelerated by the lockdowns, everyone's working from home, everyone's shopping from home, exercising from home, watching movies and comedy and theater, doing pretty much everything from home. And yeah, it's just, people are lonely, and the hottest girls who are used to getting so much attention, they're the loneliest of all. Plus, when you add to that the crazy, ridiculous extremes of what I call the post-Harvey Weinstein era, where so many guys who don't have these skills to a certain level, they've just checked out of dating. They're like on sugar daddy apps, or maybe third world wives, or prostitution, or just complete give up. They go what's called MGTOW by some people on the internet who don't really like women. And the issue with this is beautiful, high quality women are more desperate than ever in my lifetime. Never before, apart from the COVID lockdowns, never before has there been anything like this. And I'm 54. And I imagine you could go back to World War II when most of the guys were fighting. The last time it was that easy to just get lots of girls into bed, get lots of dates, and meet an amazing girl for you, way, way better than ever before. And I know of my post-COVID boot camps, we're doing a much better job of them. But yeah, the results students are getting effortlessly in quite a few cases. I'm an enormous advocate of teaching through stories rather than giving you points you're supposed to remember, because I'm so bad at this, don't I? I'm supposed to take down that one. Anyway, hopefully you guys have persisted with me. Not the greatest at tech. By the way, I'm not AI. This is a real big nose and grey beard. I'm a huge advocate of teaching through story, and the people, whether it's whatever, the Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey, the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, a framework or a step-by-step, and I gave you a bunch of signals at the start, that can really help you. But if you hear a good story, you can remember that for the rest of your life. And stories from different people, Alex Hormozy, the business coach, is another one. I remember his stories far more than his frameworks. So yeah, when I started as a dating coach, I was extremely promiscuous because I've been traveling nonstop for about 5 years at that point. And yeah, I'd had some success. And yeah, I'd literally walk into places with a bunch of crazy, nervous, sometimes very, very nerdy students. And I don't have this level of skill anymore. It'd take me a while to get it back too. But yeah, I'd walk into places, and yeah, my job was to lead the students, help them out, approach girls, and that sort of thing. And I would, because of my sales background and particularly my public speaking background, I'm probably dramatically better at reading signals than the average guy. That reading signals is the most loved module in the course we give clients when they join our program. So I'd walk in, and it might have been 4 or 5 like really attractive girls in the place we went into, and like 3 of them would pay no attention to me, but 2 of them might notice, particularly if I walk in with a certain way, particularly if I walk in with another guy who's a certain height, who's dressed well. Again, in so many places in America and Australia and Canada, just dress well. Women will notice you. It's like, this guy's not some idiot loser. So yeah, dress quite well and walk in a certain way and see the girls who are interested in you. And yeah, the number of times I got these reviews where, James has got magic tricks, or it's magic. He just walks up the hottest girls, he talks to them, he gets his student involved, and he takes one of the hottest girls in the bar or that he met at a cafe or in the day game home. And yeah, guys thought it was magic. And I did have a reasonable level of skill at that time, but the thing I had was I could see stuff that 99 out of 100 other guys couldn't see. And yeah, that's something we can easily help all our clients with. That's one of the first things we do. Dress them well, teach them how to read signals, fix up if they're a bit insecure sexually, and obviously give them conversation skills. So yeah, will I do one more story on this? I might come back to it later. Yeah, and basically you're competing with all these guys in the Western world. It's so much worse today. They're all scared to approach. A few of them can do it, but they need a lot of alcohol. They don't have a solid date plan. They can't dress. They're no good in bed. And many guys think the road to success with women is to be obsessed with your career, your business, make a lot of money. And they've got no clue about female psychology, which is Tess, my senior female coach's favorite. So let's move on to the next one. I might just quickly say hi to my regulars, if I can get to the comments without screwing something up. Okay. Oh God, thank you, Vachor. Your screen is freezing and sound breaking a bit. If you're on the spectrum, it's hard to thank you so much, Lachor. If anyone does find that, just let me know. I've put my thing down and I've reset the internet. I'm going to get out of here pretty soon after the new year and get better internet for you guys. For those seeing the big nose from the side, I'm just reading stuff. If you're on the spectrum, it's hard to decipher women's signals. It's harder, but you can. I don't know. It depends how far on the spectrum you are. But I'm almost certainly on the spectrum. I've got quite very strong noise sensitivity and light sensitivity. And a few ex-girlfriends have said I'm on the spectrum a bit too. Next one, we've done that. Sorry, that got repeated twice. And just. Oh, thank you. We'll come back to that one later. So yeah, love to get your questions about all this. If anyone's got questions about reading women's signals, which is a master skill, just let me know. Okay, the next thing is you got to learn how to touch a woman. Now, for some guys in the post-Harvey Weinstein era, this is a bit scary, but it's a magic trick. I mean, Harvey Weinstein, he was the biggest sleazebag of all time. I mean, it's like, what's his opening move? Come back, read a script in my hotel room at 1 a.m. and watch me take a shower, which can be a pleasant experience for any girl, particularly a beautiful actress or model. And yeah, read your lines while I'm having a shower, and then give me a massage after, and I'll give you a part in a film that will win you an Oscar. It's like, and then boast about all the other girls who he slept with and win Oscars with. That's, if Harvey Weinstein had done my course, he might still be making movies with Tarantino and whoever else he wants to. I should probably, I don't know. He wouldn't have been such a horrendous sleazebag and awful, at least. So yeah, you got to learn to touch, but you got to learn to touch skillfully in a way that doesn't freak women out or make them uncomfortable. This is why one of the reasons I've got all these beautiful female coaches who help my clients learn this. A lot more fun than touching me and looking into my eyes. So this was one of the biggest revelations of my life. I was a 32-year-old virgin. 31. I think since you're a 31-year-old virgin, I had a piece of sex that might qualify as sex when I was 27, but up till then it was 31 before I had anything else. And I'd been, I suppose, by most people's standards, really successful in my career. But I had no clue with women. I was more clueless, I think, than any other guy I've ever coached in my life. I was just absolutely shocking. So I confided in a close friend that I was hopeless at this, and could you please help me? And he basically just told me, it's not like the movies where it's like you meet her, she doesn't really like you at the start, but you somehow keep hanging around. Then you go on a date, and you go on a first date, and then, you maybe kiss her at the end of the second date on the cheek, and then walk up, and then we'll go away. Then the third date, you get up your courage, you buy her an expensive dinner, then, as soon as she's standing up, you try to shove your tongue down her throat, which is what so many of us do, which is why us English-speaking people require so much alcohol to get anywhere. There'd be no white people left on the face of the earth if, I suppose, the English hadn't invented alcohol, because none of us men would have the courage to ever do anything. So yeah, a lot of my Brazilian friends or African-American friends or Middle Eastern friends and some Southern European friends don't need alcohol that much just to go talk to a girl. So yeah, he told me it's not like, on the end of the third date, you try to shove your tongue down her throat. It's like from the moment you meet her, certainly the moment you get on a date with her, you're touching her in very non-sexual places. Very non-sexual places. And the ultimate one of the biggest tips is just the tip of the shoulder. So you're fine to touch all your male friends, total strangers, on the tip of the shoulder. It's probably the least offensive place you can touch someone you don't know. It's not in the least bit sexual. If you look at how you touch your male friends, it's probably the shoulder, shake their hand, and maybe tap them on the back or something if you do have a good moment or they do something good. That's probably about it for touching your male friends. So you want to start touching women in the most neutral positions possible, which is that. So yeah, shoulder touch is so important. Another big one is if you start holding their hand. So, I mean, if that's all you get from this YouTube live, touch them on the shoulder a bunch of times, and the more interesting they are, the longer you touch them on the shoulder. And if the conversation dies down, touch them on the shoulder less, or don't touch them on the shoulder at all. And again, go back to social skill 1, read signals. Read signals so you'll know roughly when to touch. In terms of other places to touch, there's so many, but again, there's a difference between guys who do my training and do the Zoom calls and do the boot camp that we train to touch. They can just touch straight away often, and the good ones can sort of start to escalate very quickly if they're properly trained. But for a YouTube audience, if you really just focus on the shoulder, and then once you're pretty sure you've got a ton of rapport, then you can maybe start going for the handhold. If she's sitting down and it's okay, you may touch her on the knee. But again, you want to be very careful with anything close to the prime real estate. Just to give you an illustration of the power of touch, I've done boot camps for 19 years now. And I was probably about 45 or something when this happened. And there's a common bar we use often. It's called the Opera Bar in Sydney, Australia, which is probably one of the more famous bars in the world because of its sublime views of the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. I forgot that for a moment. Getting old. And yeah. So it's much of it's outdoor, so they have heaters when it gets a bit cold. So I approach a bunch of girls. I'll tend to do the first approach of the night and try to get the more nervous students in. And from there, I just talk to a bunch of girls who are probably early 30s, professionals, educated. And one of the bad bits about my job being a dating coach is I'll do sort of a warm-up approaches for me, and also approaches to big groups to try to get all my clients who are a bit nervous and can't do it themselves started, which doesn't really happen much anymore, but there's sometimes one or two. And yeah, one of the big issues that I don't like is because it's my job, and reading signals and all that, I'll go up to a bunch of girls, I'll talk to them, I'll try to connect with them, I'll act like I'm hitting on them a little bit. And then I'll go, oh, meet my friend Tony, meet my friend Dave. And he's an accountant, he rides Harleys, he's unreal at jiu-jitsu or basketball or something. I'll introduce him. Then I'll go, oh, sorry, I've got to go find Kevin, or I've got to get a drink, or I've got to go to the toilet. I'll just leave the group so the clients can get in. But a number of times, some girls come up to me and she's like, James, hey, how you doing? Where'd you go? And I'm like, who on earth are you? My brain's just sort of tuned them out. So that was quite uncomfortable for me this happens a lot. You feel like a bit of a prick because women paid no attention to me for essentially 27, arguably 31 years. So it's not nice to sort of hurt someone when you've been when you weren't wanted at all yourself. But yeah, there was one time there was a heater in between me and the girls I was talking to. So I didn't get a chance to touch them. I did the handshake, I did the opening conversation starters. I did a really good job. But then I walked away and I came into it again and they just didn't even notice me. I thought they'd be like, oh, welcome back, you confident man. But the reason is, with whatever skills I had at conversation and bringing clients in and social skills, because I forgot to touch, girls who would have normally been quite attracted to me, they're just like, oh, okay, that guy's back. So it was a bit of a blow to the ego, but it also shows you, I'm not as wonderful as I think, it's just the skills I've got that make girls attracted. But it also shows you how absurdly, horrendously powerful just being able to touch a girl skillfully is. Because seriously, in terms of touch, no one can do it. Because the few guys who do touch girls on the shoulder that I see, they do it too hard, they're too handy, usually too hard, that they hold it too long at the start, or the other thing they do is they do like, oh, my dating coach told me to touch, but I'm too scared. My female coaches call it hot plate touching. So if anyone's noticed any screen freezing, feel free to let me know about that. That is absolutely awesome. So yeah, that's been a huge problem. It's one of the biggest opportunities ever when you can learn to touch very skillfully. Um, the other thing, and this is sort of a separate point. Oh, with touch, you've got touch you use on approach. You've got touch you use to sort of build connection, build rapport. And then you've got touch you use on a date, or when you get a girl back to your place for the first time. So there's a whole bunch of levels of touch you got to learn. It's similar tools, but applied very, very differently. If I first approach a girl, I will just touch her on the shoulder. And if I'm very confident, I might hold it for 6 seconds just to get her attention when I approach. In most situations, not all. I still do that in bookstores. I still touch girls when I approach them in bookstores, which no one watching on YouTube should be doing without proper training and skill. That could go really bad these days. So yeah, I'm nearly always touching initially, and that's going to separate me at my age from all the other guys. Because I hopefully do it well, given it's my job to teach this. But then when I start to build rapport with the girl, I'm going to touch much longer. And I may start touching the small of the back. I may touch her in other places. So yeah, you want to change and, I suppose, modify your touch at each stage. Like if I'm on a date with a girl and I'm looking deeply into her eyes, she's talking about her childhood or her favorite books or her travels or how much she loves her mum or her dog or whatever. I'm listening to what the stuff that makes her heart sing, as we talk about in one of our videos. I might be touching on the shoulder, but I might actually start stroking her a little bit. Again, don't try this without adult supervision in the post-Harvey Weinstein era. It could go really bad. There's a difference between holding your hand there and actually stroking her like that, particularly on the bare shoulder. That's a long, long way. But the power, I mean, this is very neutral. It's not sexual at all. But this can be electric. And you start doing that near the neck, like, wow. So yeah, one thing we were very big on teaching guys is at different stages of the interaction, you want to sort of move your touch around. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions on touching or reading signals, just let me know. There's a good point about if you're on the autistic spectrum. I think we covered. So that's touch. I'm very scared to give too much of the, I suppose, the particular seductive or rapport detail on dates. But the other thing you've got to have, which I won't cover tonight because it's a very difficult subject, is if you're spending time into trying to meet girls, or you just get dates with girls you quite like, or let alone using dating apps, which, I mean, sort of really don't work that much anymore. You've got to have a solid date plan, and you should be, if you're not very confident with women, you've got to have a date plan where you build in opportunities to easily touch smoothly. And that's one of the magic tricks to go from, had 20-year marriage and I divorced and I've slept with like 12 girls in my life. I want to meet someone new, maybe a bit younger, to actually getting that younger girl and having a bunch of fun on the way, having a really good date. So the other really big tool you need to have, which I should have put in the headline, is touch and eye contact. They sort of go together. You've got to learn to use these two tools at the same time: touch and eye contact. Touch and eye contact. It's just like boxing with your left and right hand. You got to be able to use both. So it's eye contact's a very, very hard one to teach, particularly on YouTube Live. So a story is probably going to work best with this. I was at the yoga studio I went to a lot. Because I'm quite into yoga for health. It's also very good for meeting girls. Slightly better, way higher quality, and dramatically healthier than the average girls, and way better girls than you get at bars or clubs or apps or anything. If you're not doing yoga and you want to do better with women, you might want to check it out. So my yoga studio, where many girls very seriously, I had sort of three here. happened was there was a receptionist who's like a tiny 10. She was like 5'2" or 5'3" or something. And she was insane. Like, she was insanely hot. Like, rarely, rarely do you see a girl this hot unless you're sort of around quite high-level modeling agencies. She was too short to be most models, but she was just like perfect. And yeah, every guy was drooling over her, and the women were just sitting staring at her body and her face and her eyes. She was half, I think she was Dutch English mum or dad, and half light-skinned Indian mum, if I'm getting that. It was just like spectacular, beautiful woman. And yeah, I'm twice her age at least, and I didn't pay attention because I wasn't planning on sleeping with anyone there, particularly one of the receptionists, because I don't want to see girls from doing yoga I've slept with, just in case it goes bad or they get pissed. So I go in there, I think, oh, what the hell? She's so beautiful. I just stare into her eyes. So whenever I'm talking to her, I just basically lock 100% on her eyes. And yeah, it wasn't the first time, maybe the second or third time I talked to her 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes, and on one occasion, maybe close to 10 minutes. It's a one-on-one conversation. I'm just looking 95, 98% of the time in her eyes. I dropped times. Yeah, I mean, after this happened 3 or 4 times, she's serving me, and I ask for something, like maybe something in the fridge, and she literally walks around this huge counter, this enormous counter. I've never seen her do that ever, to get me or something, and she starts touching me. I'm like, what the hell? I'm twice your age. I'm a fair bit taller than you. And she's just so keen on me. And this girl was dating a professional football player. So, I mean, what else you want? This old skinny guy too. One day when I was on Australian national TV for the first time ever, first time I'd worn a suit in a long time, apart from being on TV, I came one day in a suit, and she just went crazy. And then her shift finished at, and then she literally walks down the stairs and follows me out the studio when, you know, she was probably about 15 minutes from actually being allowed to leave. So why am I telling you this? It's not big-headed. It's the skills I teach. It's not me. Just, I mean, the conversation wasn't anything that special. She wasn't that super attractive. There was nothing about her that made me want to date her, apart from like, oh my God, would you look at that face and body? It was actually terrible when she did yoga beside me, because I was just like, every guy could not stop looking at her. So yeah, just the power of touch and eye contact, plus conversation. Well, it is savagely effective at attracting women so far and above and beyond any woman you've ever dreamed of. So touch. I've screwed my numbers up. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions coming through. Any questions now? You guys are going to do your usual bit and leave all your questions till the very last minute, I'm guessing. So where are we? Let's go to my banners. Oh yeah, I did have a little banner for eye contact. Silly me. Silly me. And I forgot my last banner. So yeah, next up we've got conversation skills. The biggest, most potent conversation skill of all time is open-ended questions. Actually, that's the second biggest. I'll get to the biggest in a second. The biggest one is open-ended questions, by far. If you take one thing from tonight, ask open-ended questions and really listen to the girl, leave pauses and try to think of good open-ended questions of what she's talking about. So open-ended questions, listen, and touch on the shoulder, and learn how to dress. And don't follow a stylist or anything. You got to learn how to dress like a confident man who's well presented. Everything needs to fit. The colors need to suit you. They need to suit your coloring. It needs to suit the environment you're in and your whatever job you do. If you can just do, so I just said 2. Okay, dress, open-ended questions, listen, and touch on the shoulder. If that's all you do, you can fly past guys 10 years younger, you're a 7, they're a 9. They make 500 grand a year, you make 80 grand a year. You'll just fly past them if you can just do that. If that's all you do, I'm not saying you'll just hear me say it and you become really good at the skill, but if that's all you do, you can basically kill people. So ask open-ended questions. Ask open-ended questions. So what is an open-ended question? So Tess, tell me about the best thing you've got planned for this weekend. That's an open-ended question. But what a lot of guys do when we coach them is they start to get nervous. So they chicken out and they ask a closed-ended question. So it's like they walk up to Tess, they do exactly what we told her, or Natalia or Val or Coda, or whoever they're working with. And they go, hey, how you doing? I'm Johnny. I'm Tess. So Tess, anything good planned for the weekend? And that's them being a little scaredy pants. They're scared of actually being a man and actually trying to start a conversation with an attractive woman. So you got to ask open-ended questions. You got to ask open-ended questions. Apart from, if you take, you're not going to, I'm not going to look at you or get Tess to look at you and help you dress better according to your height, weight, size, colorings, socioeconomic status. I can't do it tonight. So the best thing you can take from this is just ask open-ended questions. And this is going to make you so much money, make you so much more better friends. It's like, I should write a book on it. It's like a magic trick. If all I told you was conversation skills and you went away and applied that, wow. So yeah, some other things that work really well with conversation skills are pausing. So if you want to approach really difficult, bitchy, hard girls to approach, just walk up to her and do what I've told you in terms of introduce yourself by name, shake hands, look her in the eyes, and ask her a really good open-ended question. And then if she won't give you anything, just pause. I probably told the story a few times where I was on a boot camp and I saw by far the hottest girls in a particular bar were looking over at me, and whatever I did with my students, and I walked up and talked to them, and that one of them went, hey, how you doing? I'm James. And she's basically held me out for maybe 15 seconds. I turned to a friend who was like the hottest girl you'd see in Sydney in a month, even living in Bondi Beach. And she probably held me out for another 15 seconds. So I'm standing like an idiot statue, just pausing, looking her in the eyes, going, when are you going to talk to me? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm good at reading these signals. I knew she was interested. I don't even know if I'd do that, particularly on a boot camp in Sydney in the post-Harvey Weinstein era, because of the way it screwed the world up. Open-ended questions, pause. And the other thing that guys massively screw up, is they ask facts and data questions. So what is that? I'll give you some of the great ones I can remember from my boot camp. One of my female coaches who for some reason never learnt to ride a bike. She got back from literally doing Fashion Week in New York and a bunch of summer trips to Europe, Milan, Paris, etc. But she never learned to ride a bike. So she's learning at age 24 or 25, and that's what she was talking about for a few boot camps. Oh, I'm learning to ride a bike. It's much harder than you think as an adult. And then the guys like an engineer, obviously, possibly a bit on the spectrum, and he goes, so what's the diameter of your front wheel? She's like, women don't pay attention to facts and data, their feelings and emotions. Because what you'll find is a generalization, but often true, is you'll go out to eat or you'll catch up with a male friend of yours, and much of what happens in male-to-male conversations is you just exchange facts and data. Like I did 6 weeks in Europe. My favorite thing was, I don't know, the Sistine Chapel and Paris. And I slept with a girl in these cities, and this girl was like 5'8" and had big tits and was a doctor or something. And yeah, we went mountain climbing in the Alps, and they're just reciting all the things that happened. Because that's what us guys do. We're facts and data creatures. Whereas women are completely and utterly different. Women are feelings and emotion creatures. I've literally dated a girl with a 155 IQ. 155 IQ, who never did physics or maths or engineering. She literally got that from essentially studying literature and philosophy, which is a ridiculous IQ for someone who hasn't done software engineering or something. But yeah, she was a feelings and emotion person. And it's one of the funniest things I see when I coach guys on boot camps. That's one of the hardest things for them to get. They just, I've got to ask feelings and emotion questions. I've got to ask feelings and emotion questions. And most guys just royally suck at it. So yeah, that's, I suppose, my 3 big tips for conversation. Ask open-ended questions, leave pauses, and feelings and emotion questions. If you just do those 3 things in your conversation, you've no idea what you can do. So open-ended questions and pause. The pause is for you to be much more sexy and confident and in control. Because what happens when a lot of guys talk to hot girls like, hey, how you doing? I'm James. Well, what's your name? I'm Jody. Oh, hi, Jody. What you up to? What's the thing? And they talk so, their voice goes up. They talk so fast. They're so nervous. I read a long time ago a biography of Michael Jordan, just a little short one. And I don't know, when he started winning those rings, I mean, he must have been the most famous man in the world by far. No one's even close. Probably, I don't know if he's as famous as Trump is now, but he certainly didn't have a whole bunch of people hating him, apart from Detroit Pistons fans. Yeah, and he used to go to shopping centers, or he used to do stuff in public. And I believe there was an instance where a whole bunch of people were hospitalized following Air Jordan rocking up to promote his Air Jordans in a shopping center sports store. So yeah, and what happens is he would do these corporate gigs where he's paid, I don't know, some telephone number amount of money, and he goes and just meets and greets all these guys worth hundreds of million, or these executives. And the guy who wrote the biography, he said, oh, guys walk up to Michael, like guys worth $100 million, and they got a wife and their kids, and they probably go hunting on weekends. They're proper like men alpha males. But around 90s Michael Jordan, they turned into these slobbering idiots. And yeah, I don't know if there's many girls as intimidating to talk to as like that guy then, particularly if you're a basketball fan. But yeah, that gives you an idea of what every super attractive girl goes through. That's why, what's the number one thing most women want in a man? Confidence. Fuck, looks, height, everything. Penis size. They want a guy who's confident, because they're not even going to consider a guy who's not confident unless they're sort of getting a bit older and they just want to find some guy with plenty of cash they can leech the money off and security off and make sure he always puts up with their bullshit because he's clueless. So you got to be confident. So one of the biggest problems guys have with attractive women is they walk up to them and they're telegraphing, when women are much better at reading signals than us, by about 10-fold or 20-fold, and they're telegraphing they're not confident, they're not confident, they're not confident, they're not confident. So yeah, how do you display confidence? It's just everything I'm talking about tonight, these 4 social skills. Just to give you some illustrations, the reason I'm here tonight is, excuse me, is I was helping out with a dating boot camp by the only slightly normal person in that book, The Game. I made friends with one of his lead trainers. And I wanted to get a job because I just saw the transformation you can make in people's lives. It was like the universe intervened, and it had all this weird energy when some guy really finally gets this. And that happens at the end of every boot camp. It's like you're in this very, very special, almost spiritual place. So I really want to be a dating coach. So yeah, I knew I had to sort of show my stuff because I didn't want to hire any white guys, particularly guys who were 6 foot. Because that was all their trainers, and they had shitloads of Asian, Indian short clients. So yeah, we went out to a bar, and there was 2 models there. One was 6 foot, the other was 6'1". And they were with 2 guys who were like football players, like, I don't know, 6'5". I don't do pounds very well, like 250 pounds. And one guy was about 6'4", the other guy was about 6'6". And the guy was 6'6", he really liked this girl that I saw looking at me, probably because I was running around being really confident with other girls. And then I just held her eye contact for, I don't know, 20 seconds. And then eventually I sort of made my way over closer to her. And then she sort of looks at me. I can't remember who said hi or what happened, but anyway, I met her. And as soon as I met her, I didn't talk to her because she sort of attracted me over. Seriously, for my regulars, they get this. What I'm telling you now is so valuable because you're getting the psychology behind getting attractive women, the women you really want. It's not about number of approaches you do or how big your dick is or how much money you've got. It's about understanding the psychology of women, which Tess talks about constantly. So she does everything to attract me over, and then she basically turns her back on me and ignores me, and she leaves me with the 6'4" guy. And again, I was traveling full time at this stage, so I was very, very smooth. But my opening line to him was, "Hey, so what do you do in finance?" He goes, "How do you know I work in finance?" I go, "No one else can afford a suit like that, man." I think I might have joked either that or you're a gangster. I got a laugh out of him. So anyway, we started to connect on the subject of finance. I think we talked about basketball. He was a college football player, and we sort of made friends. And then eventually, the girl who I ended up living with in a model house for a while, she's like, "Oh my God, this guy's charmed my friend. I really like this guy now." So then she sort of joins in the conversation. So she attracts me over with eye contact. And maybe, I can't remember if I think she might have just sat and stared at me when I got much closer to her. And she said, "Hey, how you doing?" So it wasn't like a cold approach at all. It was like a very invited approach. And then she attracts me over. She introduces herself, and she just bails on me and then leaves me with some guy who, wanted to bang her friend. And somehow I charmed that guy. So, okay, well, this guy's clearly very, very confident, because if I was like a 7 out of 10 male at that point and I wasn't dressed very well, these guys were like 9.5 and 10, particularly given they were so big and so huge, and they were wearing, like, you rarely see a suit cut like this in Australia. Look at the beautifully cut suits. They'd gone to a very expensive tailor. Anyway, I ended up going to a cafe with her later that night. And that's what got me the job as a dating coach, which made all of Social Coach possible. But yeah, it all started, it's just the social skills I'm talking about. I could read signals. One of the funny things about beautiful women is a lot of them have very limited repertoire of signals. Because if this girl stares in the guy's eyes for like 5 seconds, she's interested in you. She's 6'1", she's got potentially the best body I've ever seen in an English-speaking country. If she just looks at you, she's interested. Unless, you got vomit all over you or something. Unless she thinks she knows you. But even then, she'd be very careful about staring at a guy and attracting unwanted attention. So I read women's signals. I had high-level social intelligence, what we're talking about tonight. I had great conversation skills. I had great approaching skills. So I didn't really approach her. I approached her male friend. I charmed him. And then what happened was, when the girl started showing a serious amount of interest in me, the 6'6" guy, he starts like getting all aggressive, like he's going to beat the crap out of me. I'm like, I'm in some upmarket bar with, people in their 25 and 30, and there's bouncers here. He's not going to beat the crap out of me. He's looking at him like, "You're not going to touch me, you fool." Sue him. I think they were bond salesmen in finance. So yeah, you can see how all this stuff comes together. So just checking in if we've got any questions. Hey, Samson Property Services. So yeah, you guys aren't giving me the love with the questions tonight, but that is not a problem at all. Let me just go through this again. Where are my banners? So what we've talked about so far is reading women's signals, how to approach, and I talked a lot about how to approach touch. And I talked a little bit about rapport touch, and a tiny bit about seductive touch. So any questions on this stuff? And then I talked about the power of eye contact. And I've given you examples with each. I'm doing the example point, like any good public speaker should. And then we went into conversation skills. Now, yes, I will do it. Did I say 4 or 5? Okay, so I might just be silly. Listening. One guy paid me, well over 10 grand, And I asked him, so man, what's the best thing you did for me? And he got the whole suite. This is a while ago, but he spent quite a bit of money in 2 weekends with me. And I said, so what's the best thing I did for you? I thought he was going to say women's tests or sex. He was like 5'6" and bald and well on the spectrum, well on the spectrum, I can tell you that. He was really lovely and had tons of energy. He did some fighting sports and stuff, so he had lots of energy, but not an attractive guy, very dorky. I said, so what's the best thing you did for me? And he said, oh, you really taught me how to listen. I'm like, what? I'm getting a video testimonial from him. It's like, you taught me how to listen. I'm like, that's it? And he gave me women's tests and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But yeah, just most guys can't listen. This is going to help you so much in business with your finances. You've just got to get better at listening. You just got to get better at listening. You just got to get better at listening. So it's just gonna change everything. I might swap back to. I've got so many stories. I've kind of forgotten one. Bookstore at Melbourne. Oh yeah, so the greatest woman I've ever met in English-speaking country. I met at those big Borders bookstores in Chapel Street or Chapel Road, Melbourne. She was an angel, like modeled, earned a lot of money on Hong Kong catwalks, had a law degree and a comm degree, and her life was basically, I meditate, I do yoga, I read literature, I hang out with my guy, and I spend time with my family. And she came from a wealthy family. And she, in terms of ticking my boxes, she was pretty much an angel. I've never come close to that since. But how did I meet her? I was on a boot camp, and I go, oh my God, look at that body. I walked up, and when she turned around, I just got a fright at how beautiful her face was. And yeah, and I happened to see she had a book in her hand. And I go, oh, we talked and talked and talked. She wasn't very interested in me in the start. She's trying to get rid of me. I looked down. I happened to notice she had a book by the guy who wrote Catcher in the Rye, a book I don't really like. I said, oh, that's the Catcher in the Rye guy. And then I said, this is where conversation's so good and listening's so good. I said, oh, tell me what you loved about that book. I've read Catcher in the Rye. Tell me what you loved about that book. And I did lots of touch and tried to do everything I could because she just wanted to get rid of me straight away when I approached her. And that's how I managed to hook her. And she goes, oh, and then she starts talking. Oh, wow. Tell me more about that. So I'm encouraging her to keep talking. And I don't know, this girl might have talked about that book for like 5 minutes or 7 minutes. And I just stood there. So it's like I talked to the girl for like a minute or 90 seconds. Then she does the next 5 or 7 minutes of talking. And I had to get back to my boot camp because I had a job to do. So I think I took her to another section of the bookstore and showed her another book. And it's got a number. So I teach my students, if you talk to a girl for like 12 or 15 minutes, you're not going to get her number. And you get a number, she's not going to call you. She's just not going to call you. She won't answer. You'll get ghosted. I thought I sort of knew that at the time, but I was very serious about being the best dating coach in the world. So yeah, lo and behold, I texted her and called her, and she picked up and she showed up on the first date, and everything worked out well. For anyone watching, in terms of when you see those day game street approaches or so many of the videos on YouTube, where they talk to a girl for like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, something, get their number, the girl's just not going to show up. She's just not going to show up. She's just not going to show up. Why would a woman get dressed, change her outfit a bunch of times, wash her hair, get home from work early, probably not eat too much for a while, just in case sex happens, wax down there, that can't be that pleasant, do all that makeup, spend an hour putting makeup in hair, which a lot of girls have to do. Why would they go to all that trouble for a guy they've met for like 10 minutes? It's unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio or someone, or like there was a guy in New York who invented this method, who could have walked into any modeling agency in Manhattan and probably booked work within a few days. So yeah, for anyone who's not exceptionally beautiful or famous or something, and he lived in the Upper East Side and he went to Harvard, I mean, of course women are going to get that attracted to you. That's just obvious. But for the rest of us normal human beings, it's not going to happen. But I talked to this girl for 10, 12 minutes or something, if that. And yeah, we ended up in a date and sex on the second day. So yeah, the point is, I listened really well. She started talking about that book. I can't remember what it's called. I'm not going to make it up. A book by J.D. Salinger. I listened for at least 5 minutes of what she liked about it. And I said, oh, wow, Tell me more. Just little bridges to keep it going. So yeah, you just can't fathom how important it is to listen. And a lot of very, very rich people have said the most difficult skill that humans who want to be successful financially need to learn is you need to get better at listening. And that's one of the huge advantages I had when I started with women, is I'd been a sort of relationship high ticket salesman in finance. So I had to get really, really, really good at listening, which is one of the best assets I had when I had to get better with girls. This is like guys probably tuning off in droves when I put listening up on. Oh, where did listening go? When I put listening up on the screen, I might put it back to conversation. Yeah, guys probably turning off in droves, but really it's that important. Another example where I met a model on a boot camp, and yeah, I didn't think initially I was that interested in her, but I think I asked her a couple of opening questions and sort of got some rapport, and I think she might have said something about books. No, I know what happened now. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I won't go into too much detail. But anyway, somehow last great book she'd read came up in the conversation. I think she told me that was the line she uses on guys to see if she liked them, which is, she gave me one of the best lines or questions I've had in my life. Thank you, lady. And yeah, and she said her favorite book was Germs, Guns and Steel, which I've probably referenced before because it's one of the stories I discovered when I started as a dating coach. And she just crapped on about that for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's incredible. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. And I read the book later because I was so interested in it. And yeah, basically, how did I get this girl who was so far out my league? It was a complete joke. I was 37. I was massively overweight. When I took photos, I had to give it this one because of this big mound of fucking, I swear on YouTube, and this big mound of fat underneath my neck. And I was like skinny, white, hairy, moly, obese dude. Like, this is an awful picture because I'd been traveling and eating Thai food twice a day and having, I've been traveling the Midwest, driving around in a Mustang. I'd been eating these huge breakfasts and basically not walking at all in the Midwest because we're traveling all day. I was obscene, the ugliest I've been in my life. But yeah, I got this girl, and it's just because I asked good questions and listened so well. So me sort of picking this girl up, if you want to use that term, it was really about talking about that book and listening to her remarkable PhD mum. So yeah, we're working over to your questions. So what do you guys have for me? Questions. This is probably, of all the times we've done this is probably some of the best content of all. So I'm just going to run through this again. Reading women's signals, approach, rapport, seductive touch, eye contact, conversation skills, and you could add listening to that. So what are your questions on each of these? While I'm waiting for them to come through, I'm going to quickly, 1 second. Okie dokie. So questions on those areas. It says we've got a question. Viture's saying I really like the stories, so no questions. Questions. My stories are the second best bit. Your questions are probably the best in terms of me making a huge difference to your life just off YouTube. Okay, he's not very good at this. Okie dokie. So this is the best possible time of year. This is the best possible time of year. So if you want to get a chance to learn from all these wonderful ladies, and particularly this most wonderful of them all, if you want to get this, can you guys, yeah, you guys can see my screen. If you want to get this chance and go on a date and get feedback with this angel of a woman who's an extraordinary female coach, you can literally change your life just on Zoom for any of the overseas guys watching. Yeah, so that's the head coach. I've got too many photos here. That's another very good coach of ours, Natalia. So yeah, what happens is basically this. If you click on a link I'm about to share with you, if I remember, You can go on a date and get feedback for just $1 with my very best female coach. The goal is to identify and eliminate the mistakes that have held you back your whole life. So what you'll do is you'll practice approaching her a few times, then you'll go on a little date with her over Zoom, and then she's frantically taking notes and telling you where you went wrong and telling you what you did right. And she's coming up with a plan for you to get results with women way beyond what you ever dreamed of. And now is the best time of the year because women get frighteningly lonely around Christmas, New Year's, and also particularly in Australia in January, probably all through the world. No girl wants to be single on New Year's. It's painful for them. So they'll do things that never do any other way. I'd still be a virgin if it wasn't for New Year's. So you're probably going to, just by doing this and getting the conversation starters and getting the conversation skills we give you, if that's all you do with us for $1, we usually charge $1,500, you'll literally beat 95% of guys at talking to women and on dates just with this alone. If you just get a few good open-ended questions, and improve your conversation skills a bit, you're going to destroy it on dates compared to the rest of your life. And then we give you a custom dating plan, which is whatever you need to do, answer your questions, give you training, and then the top 3 things you need to implement pretty much straight away. It really will change your life. So yeah, if you want to do that, I just can't recommend. We've had guys who just did the call and got incredible results. Where are we? So, come on, computer. So yeah, this is how you do it. You guys should be able to see that now. Whoa, oh no, he screwed up. How bad is this guy at tech? Okay, so yeah, if you click that link, you'll see times for, I believe, Monday and Tuesday. If you guys grab one of them, it will, I promise you, it will completely change your life. Let alone if you get more training from her, it'll be something you won't even understand. So that could be you tomorrow. If you go to our website, it's what's that, $1,500 off pretty much, if you want to book it through the website. And yeah, for any of you Americans or Europeans or anyone watching, there will be a link if you're watching the replay. Silly idiot me screwed that up. So yeah, you don't do the 52 minutes because I'm a moron. You do that one. And yeah, we're getting a lot of sales out of this tiny number of YouTube traffic. So yeah, if I was you guys, I'd definitely jump in now. Because as soon as I start doing YouTube longs, especially YouTube shorts, and we get more people on these lives, the amount of sales we've got out of just the tiny number of people who rock up to these is staggering. Hopefully it's because guys appreciate we're doing a really good job. So yeah, for anyone interested, we've got a boot camp. It just hasn't got 5 spots left anymore. It's less than that. I need to check the latest numbers. There's not many. Got a boot camp coming up at 5 to 8 February, if anyone's interested. Okie dokie. So now I've got to put my big ugly face back. Okay. What are some examples of good open-ended questions? Fantastic question. Okay. There's so many. It's really about listening and coming up with an open-ended question based on what you guys are talking about. But yeah, in terms of getting stuff started, one I use constantly is, what's the best thing you got planned for the weekend? Or tell me about the most interesting thing you got planned for the weekend? Or tell me about what you're most looking forward to on the weekend. So basically the formula to get conversations started is, if it's anywhere you can just walk up to a girl and sort of say hi, it's usually something along the lines of, hey, how you doing? I'm James. Hey, James, I'm Jody. So Jody, tell me the best thing you got planned for the weekend. So the formula is, hey, say my name, introduce myself, ask her an open-ended question, and use some sort of adjective that's best, the most interesting, the most fun. What are you most looking forward to? Try to elicit her hobbies and interests. And then I tend to give a time limit. Now, I learned all this trying to pick up girls. And then when I started trying to run my business properly later in life, I realized that what I'd done was I'd applied exceptionally strong copywriting principles, not to get people to open their emails, but to get beautiful women to open their legs. And it worked for both. So just to give you a ludicrous example, if I want to get one of you guys to open my email, I just say, Rob, I'm going to get you laid tomorrow, whatever I come up with. If you want to get girls to talk to you or to date you, use their name a few times. Just people love their name. Again, I'm plagiarizing Dale Carnegie, How to Influence People. Person's name is the most magical sound in any language. So yeah, that's good examples. So that's how I open things. Coming up with good open-ended questions is basically a case of, as I've talked about with all the social skills, as I've talked about with these social skills, you approach confidently, you use open-ended questions, you listen very well, you hold touch and eye contact, and you touch. And if you ask open-ended questions and pause well enough, what you'll tend to find is that girls will give you what I call bonus information. That's where you go, so, Lubana, tell me what's the best thing you got coming up the next month? And she might say, oh, I'm now let me just use the weekend example for that. Lubana, what's the best thing you got coming up this weekend? She's like saying, oh, definitely going to do a yoga class, having dinner with my girlfriend Saturday, and yeah, I'm going to do my first skydive on Sunday. So which of those three things does she most want to talk about? Quiz question. She's doing a yoga class, she's having dinner with her friends, and she's skydiving for the first time ever. So what are you going to ask her? Obviously, it's going to be about skydiving. But then again, it's about, what's the metaphor? I keep getting back to boxing because it's very applicable to dating because it's like a one-on-one thing. It's like boxing, you obviously got to throw a decent punch. Otherwise, you're no one. Unless you're Muhammad Ali and you're a complete genius, you can have a little bit of a wussy punch and still get away with things compared to the other heavyweights at the time. Obviously got to have a good punch, but you got to be able to move. You got to be able to fake. You got to have amazing footwork. You got to be able to keep the distance, stay out of striking distance. You need to be able to move around, stay away from punches. There's all these skills you need to apply together. So if you just ask better questions, it's going to really move the needle. But you want to listen and you want to touch, and you like if okay, let's say, so what's your plan for the weekend? Yoga, dinner with my friends, skydiving. Wow. So you touch on the shoulder, you hold it a long time, you hold really extreme eye contact. First time I skydived was one of the greatest moments of my life. Tell me what you're most looking forward to about skydiving. And then you just shut up and listen. You just shut up and listen. Exactly the same example with me and the model and her favorite book, Germs, Guns and Steel. You just shut up and listen. So good open-ended questions aren't necessarily based on, I can give you some and give you good date questions. But it's really about what's she talking about? How well do you listen? How well do you leave pauses so you can actually get your brain to come up with better stuff? So that the best open-ended questions is the stuff she wants to talk about the most. Jackie, one of my female coaches, and I did a video about how do you get girls way out of your league easily, whatever we called it. Find out what it makes her heart sing and get her talking about it, and use touch, eye contact, body language, body positioning to sweep the girl off her feet and into your bed. And it really is that simple if you bring these skills together. So thanks for that question. Vature, are there any ways you'd practice reading signals? People say to turn down the volume and watch a soap opera or even a movie and do it. if you can become a pretty hardcore people watcher, that is a good thing. I've looked at a bunch of, when I started doing these lives, I'd look at my major competitors and I'd look at their top videos and I'd just see what they talked about. I eventually stopped doing that because I just didn't like, I mean, I like some of the responses, but some of the responses I just didn't really like at all. I'm like, yeah, you're making a lot more money than me because you're very good at YouTube. But I just don't know if you really know what you're talking about. So you could get a sales job. You could do public speaking practice. You could hang out with a really attractive male or a really attractive woman and look at the attention they get. That would be the big thing. The other thing, recommend to practice reading signals. Just the basic ones like hair flicks, pulling their hair back like that, sticking, if they've got a big chest, sticking their chest out. If they've got long legs, sort of twining them together sexily. Definitely look and look away. Look away. That's a huge one. Tess does this much nicer than me. I'd make a really bad drag queen, particularly with his big nose and tiny little pathetic mouth. Looking, oh my God, I'm going to make myself sick if I do this again. So sorry for anyone who needed a bath bucket when I did that. I wouldn't be one of the world's great drag queens. So looking over a rounded shoulder is a huge one, like an enormous one. Hips swaying. So you just got to sort of feel free to write these down. Watch my little bits where I do this again. And just really study these. There's a lot of other ones people talk about. I'm like, really? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, the biggest thing you need to know about reading signals. The biggest thing you need to know about reading signals. Maybe it's like learning a language. It's like reading a sentence. If you see the word fuck in a sentence, it does not mean people are having sexual intercourse. It could mean so many other things. So you don't see a woman look at you, look away and look back and go, there's a 100% chance she wants to suck my dick tonight. Because it could be someone behind you. It could be someone she knows. She could be drunk. There could be some guy standing beside you. She might like your friend. That was probably the best example, because if a girl looks at you and looks away, there's a pretty high chance she likes you. One I've shared with before, I should come up with more stories on this. When I was very promiscuous and had 2 bi girlfriends, it was bringing other girlfriends to them. And just after I brought a big-time model girlfriend together with my current girlfriend, I was pretty sure of myself and I was pretty confident. I was very fit and healthy and having tons of sex at that time. So I just assumed every girl was just gagging for me, which is a bit conceited. But it was true sometimes. Ironically, if you think every girl's crazy about you, some people might say you've got psychopathic tendencies or you've got cluster B stuff. But if you actually have that belief, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in many cases. Not all. Particularly if you read signals, it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy in many cases. So I sort of thought I was like every woman who's not a supermodel wanted me once I started talking to her, once she saw me interact with people. But there was this girl at the sort of big co-working office space I worked in. Whenever she's talking to me, she's like giving it this one. She's giving it this one constantly, just twirling her hair. Like, this girl wants me. She's like a really attractive, whatever, 32, 33-year-old. my girlfriend's like 22 and 25, so I wasn't that interested. But yeah, she's gagging for me. She wants me. And then I saw she's talking to some short, bald, hairy-backed dude. I don't know. I'm making this up a bit. He's not an attractive guy who was bald and short. He probably had a hairy back, who dressed badly. And she's doing the same thing with him. And then one time I walk in the place and she's one of the only ones there. So I look at her and she's wearing a sexy outfit that day. So I really looked at her. And she doesn't even notice me. And I look at her. She's just sitting, pushing a mouse around, twirling her hair. So I was convinced this girl just wanted to swallow my manhood. But no, she had no interest in me. And it turned out, I saw later on, she had a wonderful boyfriend who is way hotter than me, probably way richer than me, way more everything than me. So yeah, I was kidding myself. But I saw one signal, which is a pretty good signal. If a girl's sitting at you twirling her hair like that, yeah, I don't know. 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, it's a really good signal. But you can't just see one thing and assume it means she wants you. That's probably the biggest thing you need to know about reading signals. You're not going to a boxing coach and going, oh, teach me how to punch. Oh, good. So I've got a great left jab and an amazing left hook that can knock people out. I can beat the crap out of most people. Now, you can probably beat the crap out of them if they can't fight whatsoever. But yeah, you can learn how to block punches too. You probably got to learn a lot of footwork. So yeah, so it's just like one word isn't a sentence, and one word isn't a story. So that's hopefully really helpful. So a whole bunch of guys have piled on now. I don't know. I don't understand YouTube behavior. I think I've trained you guys that the questions start about here. So that's kind of good. Anyway, whatever works for you guys, I just want to add as much value as possible, particularly at this time of year where it's never, ever, ever, ever been so easy. I explained before, post-Harvey Weinstein, COVID, technology boom, hot women aren't getting anywhere like the attention they did the rest of time. And post-Harvey Weinstein, so many of the best guys have just checked out the game altogether. So there's these few women left who are really attractive, and they're just waiting for you. And girls way more attractive than you could ever see yourself with are so desperate it's not funny. I'd be a bit up myself if I gave you recent practical examples of that, but trust me, 22 and I'm 54. She was very, very, very smart though. We had a good connection. Anyway, what to do if a conversation dies out? When do you move on to the next person? Luke, obviously you're one of my beloved regulars, one of the top beloved regulars. So I know quite a bit about your background. So what to do if the conversation dies out? For the general audience, I'll answer Luke specifically later. For the general average guy watching this, if you're on a date with a girl and the conversation dies out, what you do is you try your hardest. You try your hardest to remember some of the more interesting things you've said. My idea is you keep a spreadsheet of the conversation, and then whenever some new information comes into play, you just put it on the spreadsheet, and then you hit sort. So if a girl, I'll use Tessa's hobby, if a girl says she's paragliding, I'm super interested. I'm talking about that shit. If a girl says she loves reading literature, I'm probably even more interested in paragliding because that's my weakness, girls who read literature. I mean, a girl who's very well read and very well smart could be a 7.5. And at my age, I'll pick her over like a 9.75. Yeah, I don't think I'm lying, apart from ego, which I'm sort of over with girls now. I literally will pick her because that's a big thing for me. So the conversation dies out. You try your very, very, very best to come up with, to remember something she said before, then you formulate an open-ended question about that. If worse comes, oh geez, I'm giving you guys so much value here. If worse comes to worst, you go, oh, I've just got to go to the bathroom, assuming this is a date. I just got to go to the bathroom. And you go to the bathroom, and then you have notes on your phone about what to do when you're stuck. Maybe you have a list of open-ended questions. Maybe you have a list of the stuff you learned from Tess and I on the boot camp or wherever you get your information from. And then you use that as a refresher, and then you get time to think about what the conversation you had, what you know about the girl. You come back, and if you've got any brains, you actually write down your next 3 open-ended questions in your phone. It sounds so gay and contrived, but it works. It works. So many times I've been out with a girl I'm intimidated by, particularly when I started, and I used that system, and that got me sex with girls I should have never ever had before, because I ran into a sticking point and I managed to break through it. That was very useful in my sort of, what they call them, modelizers or something, guys who just want to bang models. I was extraordinarily insecure about my success with women following a horrendously abusive childhood and essentially being all alone till 31. So I wanted to sort of prove myself in my 30s. So yeah, there's a bunch of girls I was on dates with. I wasn't really that interested in them. I just wanted to get them into bed for my own ego, which sounds pretty pitiful looking back, but it turned me into this dating coach who's helped lots of guys. But yeah, I'd just go to my phone and I'd open my notes, or in that case, back then I had a moleskin diary that I carried around, this little sort of what I call a gay bag. And I just look at my notes in that. Now you just put it in the notes section of your phone. So when you just move on to the next person, this is really, for the average guy, it's really about reading signals, which is where we started. If the girl's sort of looking down, and generally when you just move on to the next person, generally it'll be quite unambiguous. The girl will let you know, she's, oh, I've got to go home and wash my hair before work, or I've got an early meeting in the morning. Oh, it's late. I've got to get back. Mum's sick. They'll usually come up with an excuse to get rid of you. So again, if you can read signals well enough to know once you start to hit that plateau, it's your job to come up with a better open-ended question, which means listening. What I might do in that situation is just, okay, this isn't going very well. I'll throw to one of the questions I've got saved up about things I'm interested in. Because so often you can save the conversation. So much of what I teach is find something you're both interested in and talk about it. Then everything else just falls around that. That's why if I went out to a nightclub and tried to pick up girls who may need to dance or do drugs or suck the DJ's dick or whatever young hot girls do in nightclubs, I'm going to be way better than average at getting them. But nothing special. Whereas you send me into a bookstore in Manhattan that hasn't been destroyed by pickup artists, and I go to the literature and philosophy section. Yeah, I got superpowers, man. The shit I can do there blows my own mind, or at least I could do. So yeah, it's so okay. This is probably the best thing you've heard tonight. There's been a lot. So much of succeeding at dating is just having the conversation skills to find something she really wants to talk about. Ask open-ended questions, find out what makes her heart sing, and then everything's like 10 times easier. Because the huge mistake so many men make is they select women purely on hotness. Now, we're men, we want a hot girl. It's not much fun trying to sleep with a girl. Not that I've ever really tried. Tried with a girl who's a bit older than I'd like. And there's not much fun trying to sleep with a girl you're not sexually attracted to. It really doesn't work. One time I got this really beautiful Danish girl home. She had a face like an angel and huge firm boobs, but she'd covered up some of the other stuff. She wasn't fat or anything, but by my standards, she was a bit much. And I ended up managing it. But it was like, oh my God, I've really got to focus all my attention on those boobs, and those big lips, and that pretty face. She was traveling when I got her, so she might have been much better in her hometown. Yeah, it wasn't much fun. It took a lot of focus and thinking and really trying to do a good job of everything to heat her up so that my dick could actually follow through, because I think she knew I wasn't that attracted to her. So yeah, so it's so much easier to pick up girls where you've got lots of stuff in common. So much about dating and approaching and seducing is just to get something in common. So what I do later on when I'm trying to actually stick my thing in there is I'll try to find the thing that is most makes her heart sing, that's most emotional. It's often travel, her relationship with her mother or father, or stuff that happened to her as a child, or something she loves with all her heart. And I'll use that, and I'll slow the conversation down to try to stick my thing in there. So yeah, what do if the conversation dies out? When do you move on to the next person? Generally, without being creepy, the girl will let you know. If you do some cold approach and you're in her space, you really need to learn to read the signals to know when to evacuate, because you're just going to weird that girl out, and all the other girls will figure out that guy's weird. He's making that girl feel uncomfortable. And guys honestly have no clue about this. A lot of guys could probably be, Harvey Weinstein's an awful, horrendous person. He'd ruin girls' career because they wouldn't sleep with him, like many, many times. Awful person. But yeah, a lot of guys, no, that's a bad example. A lot of guys can be really, really sleazy around women, but they've got no idea. Probably most of you watching, and most of the guys come to my boot camp. You take her on 2 or 3 dates, you got a great rapport, you spend, $300 or $500 or $1,000 on dates. You invest 10 hours of your time plus texting and messaging and all this nonsense. And then you don't touch her much. And then the end of the second date, end of the third date, you try to shove your tongue down her throat. That's really, really offensive to a woman. It's like, who are you sleaze? And these days you can get in a lot of trouble for that. So, yeah, you've just got to build commonalities. You just got to find commonalities and go deep on them, and you've got to and you'll be able to read signals, and you'll be able to touch. You'll be able to do what we call it, Tess and I, my trainers call it, I named it micro escalation. You're to touch and escalate in tiny, 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 tiny little increments. Not like you meet her, you kiss her on the cheek at a certain date, and you try to shove your tongue down her throat after whatever, a bunch of drinks. Micro escalation. That's a subset of touch. When you just move on to the next person, when the conversation, if she's standing up when the conversation is too hard, if it's an actual date, she'll send quite explicit signals to do it. Luke, any tall, handsome, rich, desirable guys who are listening, I'll answer for Luke separately. What to do if the conversation dies out? When do you move on to the next person? If you are like a high value guy in terms of how good looking you are, how masculine, how much money you make, your success with women, so often, and this happens to me all the time, not I'm particularly good looking at all, so often women will basically be on a date with me and bail on me and just try to make me feel very uncomfortable. But that's not them not wanting me, that's them really wanting me and trying to see how I handle this. So that's where it's your job to be really good at conversation and really good at just finding water in the desert. Because again, if you can pass that woman's test, she'll be massively attracted to you. And so many times, I've had this really great connection with a really hot girl. I sort of found a subject, I locked on it really hard, and I was touching her skillfully. And then the really hot girls just tuned out and said, oh, I've got to get back to my friends, or blah, 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 or you're too old for me. And they've done like an abrupt rejection, or they've just sat and looked away, or they sort of, some of them, I think they might get a bit frightened. Oh my God, I really like this guy. They pull out the conversation. So it might not even be a test. Often it is a woman's test. So then it's my job just to be the alpha male and figure out how to solve this problem, which is so much of what women do in dating and seduction. So if worst comes to worst, I just do my trick of going to the bathroom and looking at my notes. Again, once you start to sleep with a few girls, you learn tricks off them. So if I met a girl I thought could be the mother of my children tomorrow, as soon as I met her, straight after I met her, I'd pull out my phone. I'd start making notes of everything I can remember about them. A girl who was a model did this on me, and she shared it when I started using her as a dating coach. And yeah, it's magical. So if you meet the love of your life, take notes. Whatever you talked about, what her hobbies are, what her passions are, whatever you can remember. So yeah, great question, Luke. Hope that was a first-class answer. Property services. I just wanted to know if I went about asking a girl I met in the last few weeks to go hiking out the wrong way. She isn't available that day. I just wanted to know if I handled it the wrong way. Generally, if the girl is somewhat desirable, you usually need to give her options. So when I teach guys date planning on my boot camp, we usually start to get, this is a bit too complicated, I need tests to demonstrate it. We usually start to do some detective work before we ask her out to find out what she's interested in, what sort of date will appeal to her, when's she available, where does she live in relation to you. So yeah, you generally wouldn't just give a girl, unless you're super confident you just want to bang her, and you're very busy, you generally just wouldn't give a girl one option. You give her multiple options. It's like if you're a salesman, you don't say, oh, do you want to buy my shit? You go, would you like this one or that one? And yeah, I mean, young hot girls can be very, very busy, and girls who aren't that young, who aren't that hot anymore, they'll pretend they're still busy just to sort of put you through the ringers. So generally never, ever, ever give just one option, if that makes sense. Just want to read this again. I wonder if I went about asking a girl I met in the last few weeks to go hiking out the wrong way. You might start with, hey, Veronica, great to meet you. Firstly, you got to find out whether she's interested in hiking. I keep saying model, it sounds conceited. A model I dated, she just wasn't interested in walking or exercise whatsoever, because God blessed her with freakish genetics, and her only exercise she enjoyed was sex. So I mean, she walked around Manhattan, but apart from that, walking around Manhattan, sex, she had no interest in anything else. She was a competitive swimmer as well, so, but she wasn't doing that anymore. Just sex, or if I have to walk, I'll walk. she didn't enjoy exercise at all. So often you ask a girl on a date and just screw it up because she's not into that sort of thing. Lots of guys who've got a great body, they try to get a girl to go to a sauna or go to the beach or go swimming or something. And I'm like, are you effing idiots? That's the dumbest thing you can ever do. Particularly for guys who come to my things who probably aren't 21 anymore. So if you're 45 or you're 38 or you're 50s and you're still in great shape, you want to show your body off, unless you're dating teenagers or 22-year-olds, the girls you're dating aren't in peak bikini form. I'm sorry, it's just evolution, it's just nature. So the idea that a girl really likes you and you're freaking expecting her to show up in a bikini on the first date, that's asinine. It's insane. I've had models, the first time I slept with them, there's light of the clock radio. Be careful if a girl ever does that. There might be some surprises there. I shouldn't say it's on YouTube, but I've had to have stuff dry frozen taken off me. Girls can be very insecure about their body. So don't propose a date where a certain percentage of the population would bail. If a girl's over 25 and you're proposing a swimsuit date and you're in good shape, you are freaking nuts because you're going to have a hole in your funnel the size of the Grand Canyon. So if I asked to go hiking the wrong way, she isn't available that day. I just want to know if I handled it the right way. Hopefully, no, you probably didn't. You'd want to give her options and you want to do a lot of homework about, does this girl actually want to go hiking with you? The other thing about hiking that's not very good, women are attracted to guys with socioeconomic status. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. Now, one of the best ways to convey high socioeconomic status is to dress quite well. Now, I don't need you to be in a suit. You need to go iron a shirt. You just need to wear clothes that fit and flatter. And I tell guys in Perth, Australia, or Phoenix, Houston, never ever go on dates in shorts unless I don't know. Just don't ever do it. It's like little boys wear shorts, men wear pants. I teach guys in Phoenix, Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona. I teach them to never ever buy the lightest jeans or pants you can get. Don't ever wear shorts. So if you're hiking, you're in shorts. So hiking might be okay for a second or third date, but it's not ideal. I'd save that for girlfriends. So yeah, hopefully that was a good answer for you. So for singles event in Sydney, what would be the best one to attend? Conversation starters to get to know the girl. Could you repeat that question? I don't quite get it. For singles events in Sydney, what will be the best one to attend? Conversation starters to get to know the girl. I am so far from an expert on singles event in Sydney. If you look at any of the dating apps, they will generally have a sort of a in-person side of them. So I honestly don't know the answer to that. I can't give you anything useful. You could do speed dating where you're not going to get many attractive girls, but it's a great chance to practice your skills, particularly the conversation and the touching and the eye contact, that sort of thing. Occasionally, if you go to the very expensive ones, which aren't cheap for the average guy, and you go to the right places. I've been to certain companies I get my clients to go to that you can occasionally get an attractive girl there. But the main reason I tell clients to go to is you get more intelligent ones. I would just Google singles event Sydney. Meetup would be huge. I mean, Meetup's a great place. I mean, you're probably not going to meet Miss Universe with a philosophy degree there. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a good place to practice and get started. And again, a guy I really respected said, never make the first job interview the job you really want. Never make your first girlfriend the girl you married. And never make one of the first 30 or 40 girls you sleep with a girl you marry. And don't take your first or second or third long-term relationship too seriously. It might not be love. So yeah, guys who are sort of just starting out, they just need to take whatever they can get. And it's sad. I mean, the sales point. That's why our boot camp's so ridiculously powerful. Because unlike me, who the first girl I slept with, who I waited far too long for, I mean, she was probably an 8.5. Her body was nice. It was okay. But her face was really, really beautiful. Like, she had a really beautiful face. But I waited so long. I mean, back in my day, back in the 80s, if you want to get better with women, there's a few rules. Go ugly early, GOE. Go ugly early. Just, you're not that good with women. You haven't had really hot girlfriends before. Girls don't pay attention to you. Just get started, mate. Just get started. Just go ugly and go early before, yeah. So it's just go ugly early. Just start somewhere, or pay to do training with Tess. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, you just got to start, like, go ugly early. And the other one, my favorite one that I say on boot camps all the time on the first night, 2 legs, no balls. Just get started. Just nail the conversation skills, nail the listening, nail the pausing, nail the open-ended questions, nail the touch, nail the reading signals, the stuff we spend all this time on Zoom and in our course training you. Just first night, just as many approaches as you can that last 5 minutes. That's your goal. So yeah, just go on to, I don't know, I'm not an expert at this. My intuition says just go on to the meetup or Google it, ask Grok AI or something, or whatever AI you prefer. Grok tends to be good at searching stuff. And just ask, okay, what's a good dating event in Sydney for your particular type of person? And yeah, you can get some practice there. I mean, they're not going to be hot girls, probably not going to be that dateable girls, but it gets you started. It gets you started. Yeah, like a mistake so many guys, including me, make is because I was successful and I was good at sport and I had a lot of muscles on this tiny little skinny body at that time. I had really wide shoulders and a skinny frame. I just thought, oh, I'm just going to, I consider myself such high value. Some really desirable girl is going to sweep me off my feet because of who I am. But it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And for the few pretty desirable guys who get that, they get some toxic Amber Heard woman who just proceeds to, I don't know, fuck them up the back door with barbed wire. Excuse my horrible prison sense of humor. Yeah, it's just you're going to have to learn. You have to learn skills. I've probably said before, when I was in finance, there was a really attractive, not model hot, but really hot girl by my standards with huge boobs who played sport, who I really liked. I was almost in love with her because I was so alone without female company and I was working so hard. And that was really the only hot girl I saw, except maybe down a bar on Friday when I was too scared to do anything. And she knew me. She liked me. When she eventually got wind of how much money I was making, she throws herself at me. And I don't say I was in love with her, but I was going to bed thinking about her every night. This is how pitiful I used to be. We had nothing in common. She kind of liked playing sport. I really loved playing sport. We played a business netball team together one time, but I was gaga about her because she was the only girl I came across. And I mean, she was hot and she had a set of boobs, like, wow. But I thought I was going to date her and maybe go out with her for a long time, maybe marry her. By the time I'd slept with 20 women, even 10, I realized this girl's we've got no interest in each other, zero, zilch. Just like, why would I, beyond sticking my dick in there a couple of times in my 20s or 30s, why would I even talk to her? There's nothing in common. So yeah, you guys have to understand, if you pay for coaching, that completely turbocharges everything. You can probably start with 7s and 8s and 9s. If you're really desirable, you probably start with 9s. Or if you had a whole bunch of success yourself. But yeah, you just got to start somewhere. So meetup, signals, event, that's probably the best answer to that question. But yeah, again, the problem with a lot of quite desirable guys is they think they're successful with women. I've had guys who slept with 500 girls, 800 girls, 300 girls who are whatever, they tick the tall, reasonably handsome, very masculine, successful cash guys. I think they're good with women. And oftentimes they're not much better. Sometimes they're worse than the virgins we coach because they've just got all these really bad ideas put into their mind. The most horrific toxic woman stories I hear is nearly always a tall, handsome, rich guy. Masculine makes it even worse. Yeah, we've got still quite a few of you guys on. I know I put this this subject up and completely, I don't think I screwed up. StreamYard or something screwed up, or YouTube screwed up. Maybe it was me. But yeah, we've still got quite a few guys on, but you guys aren't giving the usual questions. Any good? I'll get back to Samson in a second. Is social mingles any good for events? I've never heard of it, to tell you the truth. I do not have my clients going to singles events very often because there's not that many good girls in there. Maybe just following the boot camp, it might be okay for the guys who've had zero success pre-boot camp, but I don't honestly know. So yeah, I think for a guy who's not going to pay for training, just see whatever meetup's got. But there could be a service I'm not available of. Practicing the skills Tess and Natalia and Val and Kota give you. We often recommend speed dating, but I mean, I haven't heard any guys. I've never heard of any guy meeting someone special through there. The reason I recommend it is you sometimes get more educated women. And the organizers still haven't figured it out. They'll have age bands like, 35-year-old women and 42-year-old men. It's like, no, the successful guys, they're 50, they want the 35-year-olds, or the successful 40 guys, they want the 25-year-olds. They still haven't done the maths on that. So I can't honestly say about social mingles. In terms of Samson asking a girl hiking and it didn't lead to anything, you're talking to her via DM, you need to initially find if she's interested in hiking. You need to also find when she's available before you start finding the date. That's the sort of stuff we help you with on boot camp. You got to ask all these logistical questions before you actually ask her out. Bit of a sleazy metaphor, but just meeting a girl and asking her out cold without knowing anything about her availability, her hobbies and interests, for sort of a beginner intermediate guy, it's kind of like taking a girl back to your place and just trying to stick your hard dick in there. There's foreplay. You've got to find out what works for her. You've got to find out a whole bunch of details so that you can picture something she's actually interested in. Okie dokie. Well, yeah, the questions aren't coming through. There's still quite a few of you left. So if you guys have any burning questions, I'd love to help you out. If you don't, I'll give you one of my regular questions. Here's one that's made up a good question. How is dating in your 40s or let alone 50s or 60s different from dating in your teens, 20s, dare I say 30s? Hopefully, if you're in your 40s or 50s, you live a very, 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 very different life to the life you lived in your 20s. 30s is sort of a hybrid between the two eras. You probably don't want to go to bars. You probably don't want to sit and swipe through apps. You probably, unless you've had a long divorce or no success whatsoever, you're probably not interested in banging 20 or 30 or 40 girls this year. You're probably after either dating multiple quality women. Like me, I'd date multiple quality women en route to finding the mother of my children, or you're just interested in the one. Now, you've probably got no objections to dating and having sex with a bunch of girls to find the one, but it's probably not your primary motive unless you sort of really neglected, unless you've had no success whatsoever. So apps is dramatically harder Dating apps are dramatically hard for everyone now because the algorithm's rigged. They're not trying to introduce you to someone special. They're trying to give you little bites of what you think is success to keep you paying their subscription. And the business model, from what I can pick up, and I've coached AI engineers for dating companies for Tinder, and I've coached a bunch of AI engineers, a bunch of guys in Silicon Valley in tech. The business is broken. I think Luke from this live did me a huge favor, pointed out the share price of Match.com peaked in 2016, if I'm getting my numbers right. So yeah, you definitely don't want to be in apps. You don't have the body. You might have some gray hairs. You don't want to do the stuff you did in your 20s or 30s. That's one of my big objections to most of the stuff on YouTube. It's designed for the pickup artist generation, nerdy, unwanted guys who had to have all these tricks for women. And the pickup artists thing was started by a guy whose dream in life was to get a stripper, not a model who goes to NYU, who studies philosophy, who does yoga all the time, which is much closer to my dream. They just wanted strippers, and the bigger the plastic boobs, the better. And they didn't care if she was 25 or 35 or 45, as long as she was a stripper. So yeah, so much of what I see on YouTube, I don't know if it helps guys in their 20s that much, but I think a lot of it can be quite counterproductive to guys in their 40s. So what Tess, Natalia, Jackie, Monique, Val, Coda, and I, my approach coaches, teach you is, yeah, learn some skills. Obviously, we're a big advocate of paying for coaching. Learn some skills. Get really good at approaching. Get really good at conversation. We can do so much of this over Zoom now. And then, quite honestly, I recommend most of you actually do some time in bars, like upmarket. For many of my professional and business owner clients, go to upmarket bars, particularly after work Friday, where you tend to get busy professionals, business owners, slightly more educated people, where you tend to get them going. I mean, if you're blue collar, go to a blue collar bar where you attract that sort of thing. There's really smart blue collar guys I've coached as well. Blue collar guys with insanely good, much higher margin businesses and a lot of other businesses. Business owners. Yeah, go to a bar where you're likely to meet your typical sort of when you're interested in. But the thing that, if you're just doing this on your own, is the number one, I'll say it for the third time, the number one metric, if I look at every client I've coached in my life, the number one metric of their success was how many guys in their student community, similar to them, if they're a plastic surgeon, how many ENT or gastro wings did I introduce them to? If they're hedge funds or private equity or something, how many hedge fund or private equity? If they're sort of plumbers or builders or electricians, how many sort of electrician? If they're business owners, how many guys like them, similar IQ, similar hobbies and interests? Obviously the masculine jiu-jitsu guys like the boxers and that sort of thing, and the more arty guys, like Tchaikovsky and architecture or Woody Allen or something. So yeah, the number one determinant of your success with women post our coaching is how many great wings you have. So if you try going out to bars with your regular friends or on your own or whatever, it's I'm going to say it's counterproductive. It probably advances you forward, but it's really, really, really hard because you need someone who can help you along. So anyway, what we recommend our clients, I haven't thought enough about what I recommend on YouTube, is get the skills somehow. Everything I talked about tonight, conversation skills, touch, reading signals, listen. What else did I miss? Something. Silly me. Whatever the four were plus listening I gave you tonight. Get a good handle on them. And there's never been a better time than pre-Christmas, New Year. Just get a handle on them really quickly. Book a call with Tess, links in the chat, hopefully. Or watch this again. Watch some of the other videos on Social Coach. And then just go out to bars. New Year's, use these skills at New Year's. Open-ended questions, touch, eye contact, body language, a bit of logistical information gathering. Use these skills in New Year's. You can make more gains the next 3 weeks than you probably can in all of winter, maybe all of winter and autumn. It really, really is that good. It really is that good. So yeah, so my recommendation for guys in their 40s, unless you're super hot or you want to flaunt your wealth, put apps in the bin. and just get some social skills and go out to bars or meetup groups, or apply these skills with your friends, or when you go to Woolworths, or where you go to the gym. Just start conversations with strangers, preferably women, two legs, no balls, guys, who cares, dogs, whatever. Just start conversations with strangers, and use open-ended questions, use touch, eye contact, use body language. Try to learn to read signals better, and do that. Get good at it. Once you start to get a bit of confidence, I strongly recommend you go out to bars for many reasons. If you cold approach a girl in daytime, or even at the gym or yoga, it doesn't go that well, or she doesn't want to be approached, it can be nasty. It can be really, really nasty, like really nasty. You need to have reasonable ability to read signals to do cold approaches, which most pickup artists don't even talk about. But if you do it in bars, it doesn't really hurt that much. The other thing about bars is you can do, I don't know, 10, 15 approaches in a night. 3 or 4 of them can go bad. You can just walk to another part of the bar and do it again. So yeah, but once you spend a bit of time nailing your social skills at bars or meetup groups or wherever you want to be, then you start getting the skills to do it in daytime, and daytime linked to your interests. Like if you always go to the gym and you want to start cold approaching girls at the gym, yeah, once you've done a bit of time in bars with some good wings, you start to get much better at it. So yeah, dating in your 40s, get the skills. It's probably not doing my marketing or sales much good. If you start in bars, really, really powerful. You can still go straight to day game. You can still go straight to your hobbies and interests. You can use an Instagram page. You can still use dating apps to get some numbers. Yeah, and once you get that, then try to get good at general day game. Try to get good at reading signals where you're shopping, you're at the gym, you're walking your dog, and you see some girl just check you out for a short bit. We can teach you that. This YouTube live will help you with that a bit. If you see them, again, don't just go for one signal, but go for 1 or 2, which is kind of hard to read when you're a beginner. Then maybe just walk up and go, hey. If they hold eye contact for 1 or 2, again, reading signals, maybe what's the best thing you got planned for the weekend? You can maybe do what I call the old woman at the bus stop, where you go, oh, horrible what happened in Bondi Beach, wasn't it? Or great weather today, or oh, look like it's going to rain. You can start with all these like lame, useless openers in the eyes of pickup artists that gets a girl seeing. If it's like putting bait out there, seeing if the girl will bite. If you do these little things, other dating coaches or pickup artists will be watching this YouTube live going, that guy's the biggest dork in the face of the earth. Who's going to start talking to some hot model girl by saying, oh, it looks like it could rain today? It gets you started. It gets you in there. Then if you get any sort of eye contact, not as many people watching as were before, but almost a masterclass in reading signals. If it gets you a little bit of eye contact, if you dress well, throw in a good open-ended question and see what happens. That's how I've got laid so many times in day game, where there's nothing we've necessarily got in common. I just need to manufacture something we've got in common, like, oh, looks like it's going to rain, or beautiful day today. What you got on this weekend? That's how I've opened so many girls in day game. No, I should say so many, but many. Or you can just use some news thing. Looks like it'll be a sunny Christmas. I don't know, just you have to make it up on the spot. So hopefully that was really valuable for you. So yeah, once you've got these skills, you go to random day game. You definitely go to your hobbies and interests, and you go out with wings. And that's how guys can go from having got laid since the Obama presidency to sleeping with 20 girls a year when they're 48 and they're busy, and 2 or 3 years later meeting a woman dramatically better than they ever have before in their life, woman they ever dreamed of in their life, and she's like 20 years younger. So that's sort of my tip about dating in your 40s versus dating in your 20s. You've all got to learn the skills, but you sort of apply it and learn it in a slightly different environment. Okie dokie, I might get an early dinner. Still quite a few guys on. Social mingles. Okie dokie. Why is it hard to meet and chat to girls? It's incredibly hard. It's one of the hardest things in the world if they're attractive girls. because we're Americans and Australians, I believe, I almost know, and if you look at the way cinema and TV and popular media has changed, where now many of the movies, it's the girl who picks the guy up. So I don't know, those people who sit around in boardrooms in suits and wield extraordinary power over the rest of us, I think they're designing their movies to sort of beat men down as much as we can and make us as weak and pathetic and useless and hopeless and insecure as possible, and then to artificially completely inflate women's egos to the point where sort of a friend of mine, oh yeah, I really want to have kids, but I'm going to go to Columbia first and get my MBA, and then when I finish the NBA, which will be at 2.5 years, hopefully my magic man will come and appear in front of me, and I'll knock out a few kids before I turn 42, with extreme health risks. I mean, this is what women have been programmed. I mean, a lot of the women with high-level jobs, they're freezing their eggs at 22, which makes a lot of sense given the current gender balance politics. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk to girls anyway. It was hard to talk to girls in the 50s. It's hard to talk to girls in the 70s. Probably much easier in the 70s than it is now. It's always been hard to talk to girls, but now it's extremely hard. And then, yeah, many of us, our social skills are completely destroyed by so much time on phones and screens. And then we've got the post-Harvey Weinstein thing where we think it's going to ruin our career. And yeah, it's just, and a lot of women's social skills have really disappeared because of all the online stuff. So yeah, it is really hard. It's really hard. I don't want to go too Darwinian with you like I always do, but we all grew up in small communities, whether it was tribes that moved on to villages. If you read Germs, Guns and Steel, anything about Charles Darwin. So our brain chemistries have evolved for a completely different time, where if you're one of the only, if you're in a tribe of 50 people or 20 people or even a village of 100 people or something, there's only going to be so many women around your age of childbearing age who aren't wretched, who aren't yucky. So yeah, and she's almost certainly friends with the other attractive girls in their village. That's what women do. They make friends with women of similar values so they can work together as a team to get the men they want, just like us men align ourselves with men of similar value to work together as a team to raise our social status. So yeah, it's the same. So it's just like, yeah, so if a girl in the village environment rejects you and she goes, that Stavros is such a weirdo, don't ever let him talk to you, you would have just wiped out your whole genetic history. Plus, yeah, I mean, this isn't my intellectual property. It's ultimately Darwin's, but other dating coaches have talked about this. So I'm not the first. Even some of the red pill guys might talk about this, amongst all the rest of what I'd consider misogyny and what most females would consider misogyny. Some misogyny, I shouldn't say all. And the other thing is, yeah, very often the hottest girls are attracted to the highest value guys who are leaders of the community. And there's, prior to recent times, there's often a very big threat of actual payback and violence when you go talk to girls. And if you're sort of 18 at some nightclub, there's a whole bunch of guys drinking on drugs. You approach a hot girl, there still is, particularly if it's a bit lower socioeconomic, there still is a chance of violence. If you're sort of 45 at some yuppie bar, struck by lightning, kidnapped by a Muslim terrorist, I don't know, chances are pretty slim. I've been rejected savagely by women. I've talked to so many boyfriends, it's not funny. I don't think I've ever come close to being hit by a guy. Obviously, I've got a fair level of skill compared to average. But the shit, I've had drinks thrown at me. I've had some girl squeeze my nipple so hard, almost want to make me cry. I've had guys grab guys in that group, grab women in headlocks and drag them off them when they went crazy on me. So I've had some pretty weird things. I'm not selling the get better with women thing to you guys, are you? But yeah, when you come across as extremely confident, you can really piss a lot of girls off very, very quickly. So yeah, it's hard to meet women. It's always been hard to meet women. It always will be hard to meet women. If they're ugly or unattractive, it's not that hard. And then when you are meeting attractive girls, it's not just it's hard to do it, they make it really hard for you when you first start talking to them, just to see what sort of a man you are. So it has always been hard to meet and chat to girls. It will always be hard to meet and chat to girls. And it's always going to take a lot of skill. And if you're really good looking, it does make it easier initially, but not really, because the women you really want will be completely mean and awful to you when you try to chat them for the first time, whereas the sevens will often fly into your bed, or the older girls will fly into your bed. So that's a fantastic question, Stavros. Why is it so hard to meet and chat to girls? I think I'm going to put that in my regular questions. So that's the question of the night so far. Thank you, my friend. Excellent question. Let me see. So this will be the shortest one we've done, apart from when there was some big fuck up. Samson says skydiving. Skydiving is probably not the best first date option. So yeah, anyone who wants to jump in and change their life the next day and maybe get a girl well beyond their wildest dreams by 3rd of January, book a session with Tess. There's never ever been a better time of year to do it. Thank you so much for your support, you regulars. There's still a bunch of guys on, so if you guys have any questions, I'd love to serve you. I usually get hungry in about 20 minutes. So yeah, love to give you guys value. You've got me. I don't do it much anymore. I certainly don't do one day at a time. I charge $15,000 a day for private training. You get me and Tess and Natalia, and never know. I've been doing this 19 years, so hopefully I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, any questions that come through, love to handle them. If not, I'll sign off very soon. And yeah, really wish you guys Happy New Year. I'll be talking to Tess about what we do over the Christmas break. So I don't think we'll be doing much. I think Tess is going away, but we'll hopefully squeeze one in. So yeah, apparently the questions take a little time to come through. So yeah, you guys are giving me an early night off. Hope this was super valuable to you as well. For the guys who aren't investigating coaching, there's a lot of value here. But yeah, it's going to get you speed of coaching. But yeah, so thanks to the regulars, some great questions. And apparently I'm shooting myself in the foot. I really like the stories, so no questions. That's a big tip for me. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. Other guys have said because of tech issues, I've got to move from where I am now. Despite the fact it's got a beautiful view and it's in the middle of nature. So yeah, great to see you. Keep smiling, and bye for now. I've got one more question. I'll make this the last one. Oops, where are we? Do you do anything with clients at events? Can you explain what that question means? Do I do anything with clients at events? If you just answer that, I'll and what events are you talking about? Do I go into events with clients? Is that what you're asking me? Just let me know. Just let me know, and I'll love to answer you. I better not bore people on YouTube. I'll get in trouble. Yeah, there's still a bunch of you guys on. So, oops. Do you do anything with clients at events? If you mean events, I've taken guys to festivals. I've taken them to like Body, Mind, Life, if those things are on. Sometimes they work out ridiculously well. Like I've had a Body, Mind, Life for a whole bunch of guys got laid. And then I think they changed it around a little bit and changed the formatting. And there was another time, or maybe I got the wrong day and it didn't work out that well. So not really. I'm about to start doing residentials where I take guys to Bali, but they're very expensive. And I generally only do it with guys who've already put through the boot camp. That could definitely change. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't take guys. I mean, I haven't investigated it. I probably wouldn't take my clients to singles events because it'd be too easy for them given the money they pay. But they could definitely learn our skills, even if they just did the Zoom coaching, and then take those skills to to different singles events. Now you mentioned, that's quite a good point. It's probably for some of the less confident guys who maybe not, super hot dudes who aren't that successful, haven't had much success. It might be a good suggestion for us to research to send guys to just after their boot camp so they can really apply the skills we give them and make it part of who they are very, very quickly. Because the guys who do the Zoom coaching, then a boot camp, and then they're really sort of pretty hardcore for 2 or 3 weeks or a month, they tend to get results just completely out of anything they could have ever expected. They shock their friends, they shock their mother, they shock their father. The guys who implement pretty hard soon, simply because the extremely high level they got to on our event, muscles in women, you can see after a wheelchair and I'm in a remote place now, I don't have much in the way of the muscles. So it's just the guys who can sort of nail this very quickly tend to just completely do not just the usual boot camp shift like that, because they nail everything they learned much higher than guys who are a bit lazy in implementing. Hope that was of some use. Where are we? The stuff head boot camp that you do. I don't quite understand the question. On boot camps, we take guys to very upmarket bars that are generally not too drunken with professional people. We take them a bit earlier in the night. If the guy's a bit of a reader, a bit more intelligent, we'll take them to bookstores. We take them to do random street stuff. We use the Pitt Street Mall. We often use the Opera House, the Bridge. We sometimes use Bondi Beach. We do random day game walking around. Sometimes we take them into sort of department stores. For the guys who are really struggling, we sometimes get them started talking to shop assistants, but that rarely happens now because of the work we do pre-boot camp. So hopefully that answers your questions. So bars, bookstores, random street stuff, day game. We try to teach them about reading signals. And the female coaches come out and try to give them easy approaches to begin with. And for the guys who are really wussy, if you're standing beside Val or Tess, you go talk to a girl, you're not getting blown out unless you've got the worst serial killer vibe in the history of the world. Because women see you with a girl that attractive and they go, oh, I'll talk to him. He's okay. Okay, guys. Well, hope you got a ton of value out of tonight. This should be... there's so much good stuff here that came out of it. I'm not sure when I'll see you guys next, but keep smiling. Bye for now. If anyone wants to work with Tess, click the link below or above or whatever it is. And I will see you on the next YouTube Live. Any requests for future topics, we're all ears for them. Because, I do my best to serve you, but I learned so much from your questions. And how do I help make you better with women? How do I help make you better with women? Obviously, the questions help me pitch my coaching more to a YouTube Live audience rather than a clients have actually coached audience. So thank you for the lovely Christmas wishes for a few of you. And as I usually sign off from some very old Australian game show, keep smiling. Bye for now. And you can make more progress with women in the next 2 or 3 weeks than you might do in all of winter. For the Australians watching, maybe not so true for the people in the Northern Hemisphere. Keep smiling. Bye for now, guys. Cheers.